Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another segment of Hanging Out for a Living. So, let me ask you this. What happens when the person who was meant to love you slowly erases you? Can you relate? And what does it actually take to come back to yourself after narcissistic abuse? Today, we're hanging out with Cătălina, psychotherapist, international speaker, founder of the AliveInHer global movement, and someone who has spent 23 years walking alongside people in their most vulnerable seasons. She works with survivors of narcissistic abuse, both women and men, helping them rebuild identity, self-trust, and inner safety. And here's what I love. She doesn't just talk about healing, she lives it. Cătălina, I am so excited to be hanging out with you today. Welcome.
Hello.
Let's dive into the questions. You specialize in supporting survivors of narcissistic abuse, which is something many people experience, but really struggle to put a name to it. What are some of the subtle signs someone might be a narcissistic dynamic and not even realize it?
Well, a lot of people from many countries, they were born and raised in narcissistic families. So when they enter in narcissistic relationship, it's very familiar for them. And that was exactly the case for me, because the narcissist was the only thing I knew. I mean, I didn't know anything else. So let's say when a person doesn't respect you, I don't know, gaslights you all the time or very often or actually if a person doesn't respect you and gaslights you, that would be enough to yeah, just to wake up and leave the relationship or do the best to keep your mind, go to therapy or something like that.
Exactly. So for someone who's just beginning to wake up, because you use those words,
Yeah,
wake
yeah.
up, to what they've experienced or maybe are experiencing, what does the first step toward healing actually look like?
Well, the first step is talk to somebody, and they can confirm that you are seeing things right, that you are not the only one, that it's not your fault, and or go to a support group. And
And
of course, find your people, find your community, the people who may support you after that, because it's very important when you leave that relationship to find, let's say, a healthy family. There can be friends or your real family or whatever works for you.
absolutely. And you founded the Alive in Her global movement. I absolutely love that name. What does it mean to be alive in her, and how does community play a role in healing from relational trauma?
Well, actually, I named it Alive in Her because being a survivor of narcissism, I didn't know what alive meant because I just survived, I didn't live,
Yeah.
truly live, being alive. So when I wanted to choose a name, Alive in Her just came naturally to me. And I created this, because that was my need for many years to have a great family, a healthy family, a community, and so on. So many years later I created it. And it's called Alive in Her because people, both men and women, really have that that thing inside of them. They just need a spark, the help from other, the help from somebody from the community in order for
Absolutely.
them to start living and to understand that they deserve to be happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And after 23 years of working with people who have I'm not so sorry. What have you learned about resilience, especially in those who have had their confidence or identity chipped away over time?
Well, when I hear about resilience, I think that we needed to have a lot of power and to be, very powerful for many years. So resilience for me is, ooh, we needed to be resilient. Oh, yes, but of course we needed to be resilient, and now we can use that power. We can use that power, in order to truly live and to rebuild ourselves or build ourselves for the first time. Because for many of us, we didn't know who we were. We didn't know our identity. So it's very important to find out, and after that to discover our needs, our path, our whatever makes us happy.
Absolutely. So to thrive and not just survive and not
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
live
yeah.
and not just to live on autopilot.
No, no, yes, to thrive. And
Ab-
it's possible. And there is life after abuse. And no matter how many years you stayed in those relationships, there is life after abuse, and you can truly live and thrive.
Absolutely. I think the first step is to recognize it and then seek
Yes.
the counseling and the help that will get you to take that step and get away from that.
Yes, or if you can't afford therapy, just find your community, find I don't know, a narcissistic survivors group or something like that, and they can help you. It's
Absolutely.
important not to be alone and not to believe you are alone, not to believe that you are the only one, who went through this, because you are not alone.
Absolutely. And I just, everything you've shared here has been so empowering. And I am just so grateful that we've had this important conversation. I think there'll be many of the viewers or listeners that will be able to say, oh, that sounds familiar. Oh, I know someone who's in that situation and he or she may not um, have opened their eyes yet or woken up yet. So, folks, if there is anything here that Catalina has shared today that resonated with you, especially if you're navigating the aftermath of a narcissistic relationship, you don't have to do it alone. You can continue the conversation with Catalina. All of her contact information and links to her work, including the AliveInHer movement, are in the description of this video. Reach out, explore, begin. It's wherever you are in it. And as always, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks so much, Catalina. Bye,
See you
everybody.
soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.